Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I can't believe we're finally doing Uninvited!
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss The Uninvited, which came out in 1987, written, directed and produced by Greydon Clark. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows a group of teens who are heading out for spring break. These two girls meet up with Walter, a rich Wall Street executive who's heading out onto his big yacht, and he decides that the girls and some of their guy friends can come along with him. But they bring along a cat, and inside the cat is something that's been uninvited.
You know, being a horror fan
Yeah.
for as long as I remember
Life, yeah.
I don't know how I managed to not see this film. Like, of all of the blockbusters and VHS rental stores and DVD shelves I've perused, I've never come across this film until you mentioned it. You know, when somebody goes, "Hey, you ever seen that horror movie about a radioactive cat that lives inside another cat that kills a bunch of people?" And you go, "What? There's no such film?"
Oh, yes, there is.
You know, and I have to say, right off the get-go, I was very, very disappointed with this movie. Especially, I mean, I looked at the cast of characters that are in this film.
Yeah.
And you've got George Kennedy.
Oh, classic.
Playing Mike Harvey. You know, straight away I was like, oh, dude from Naked Gun.
Yeah.
But without Leslie Nielsen, this guy, unfortunately, is...
Oh, he's a very serious actor. I mean,
He is. I mean, he's good, but...
Oh yeah, in this,
But in this, he just looks terrible.
Yeah.
You know, we've also got Alex Cord playing Walter Graham, who's got, like... Unfortunately, he literally passed away, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. He's got such an extensive list
Like, over
of
80
acting credits.
80 TV shows that he's been in.
Airwolf, baby.
Exactly. And then, you know, the name that made me get excited the most was Gulager.
Yes.
You know, I was like, yes, you know, it's Bert from Return of the Living Dead. You know, it's the bartender from Feast. And I love his role in Feast. You know, and I had such high hopes when I saw that he was appearing in this film until until you see him and he's got those fake teeth. Which apparently his son made for him for this film in particular. And I was just like, no. At first I didn't even recognize him.
Tammy Faye, baby, this is for you. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is traveling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored.
Man, I won't lie. I had little to no faith that this movie was going to bomb when we reviewed it. But nostalgically, there was something inside me that just needed to climb out of my mouth and be like, let's watch The Uninvited. Because as a kid, where we live in the world, back in the early 90s, I would have a guy drive around my neighborhood in a kind of makeshift ice cream van.
Same.
You know, renting videos. And literally you would go to the back of this guy's truck and you would pay your money and you'd go in and you would look at the shelf of videos and then you'd take it and then he'd come back a week later and he'd pick it up. It was like £2.50 to rent a movie for a week.
We always copied every tape.
Yeah, it was fucking amazing. And I went through some crazy different movies and one of them was Uninvited and I must have been about 8 when I watched this. And the only things that I could ever remember was that there was a radioactive cat and that a guy had his fingers chewed off when he didn't realize it. And it stuck with me my entire fucking life. Yeah, I would say to people, as I'm growing up, hey man, you ever seen The Uninvited? Nah, never heard of it. Sounds shit. I'm never going to watch it. And I could never motherfucking find a copy. It's really hard to find horror movies that nobody wants to watch. And then, you know, while we were going through our little turmoil here at Off the Shelf and we were looking for films that would, you know, hopefully get through the system easier, I was like, I know a film that I don't think anybody ever talks about.
Thanks for sharing, Iain. Really?
Well, done it a few times. I figured you were used to it by now.
The building's secure. Now, Paul, no matter what happens, we can't let that cat out of here.
Dr. Gray, you saw what just happened at that stairwell.
Just shut up about that. Right now, we gotta kill that cat.
But I mean, the film starts with the opening music playing over the credits, and you get this outside shot of this building. Doesn't tell you what the building is.
It's just some random tall building. They were like, yeah, that'll do.
That'll do. It's got windows. We can just pretend. It's got windows. And we cut to these two scientists inside. Now I'm sat there. Like I said, I remember 2 things about this movie. So all of this is still new to me. And I'm like, are they vets? Are they evil scientists? I'm not entirely sure. But one of them turns and they've got this X-ray. And they're like, look, this thing is inside our test subject. We need to find out what it is. We need to cut him open and we need to find out what it is. And so they go and get the cat. Now, Mr. Director, you don't put audio over something that isn't obviously talking.
It's the ventriloquist cat.
Exactly. Like, I'm looking at this cat and I'm like, the cat's not meowing, but it's the audio is in the background.
Whoever dubbed the sound effects into this movie was way too fucking excited to keep pushing the button of the cat's meow. And it's like they didn't even have that much stock audio of a cat meowing, so you get the same 3. And sometimes it overlaps on top of each other like there's multiple cats.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is horrendous.
The audio edit in this movie, I will go on par now and just say is fucking shit, because there are certain sequences that the background noise is so loud you can't hear the actors, but then it'll cut to maybe a different angle in that same shot and the background noise is gone. We can hear what that actor says, and then it'll cut back to another sequence and we still can't hear anything, and it's like,
the audio's so bad at some points it'll be in the audio, like as if it, like the CD or the CD had skipped.
I thought that was because they were on a ship.
Oh, right.
Let's go down to the beach, check out the action.
My friend, the beach is for riffraff. Look, if you want to find a classy chick, you go to Marina.
Damn it, do you think we'd find something out here?
Okay, let's give it a try, see what we got.
But anyway, the 2 scientists get the cat and they go to inject it and the cat escapes.
The cat escapes this top secret, scientific facility, and you've got these 2 scientists, and they leave the frickin' door open.
Yeah, man.
Like, what are they experimenting with? Like, why did they leave the door
I
open?
don't know. That's the thing. They're like, look, there's something inside this cat. I'm like, well, you should have known what put it there or what. Like, all right, fine. But we see these 3 guys walking around in radioactive suits because we get told by the scientist when he's calling security that radiation suits are needed to protect them from this cat. And the 3 men are attacked on the stairs by the cat.
Well, you say attacked. Now,
Yeah.
They follow the cat downstairs and they corner it.
Yeah.
And then we see the thing come out of its mouth. And then, then all we see is blood splattered all over the wall. So I'm like, oh, they killed the cat.
No, they didn't. Classic 80s pull thereof. Look, we'll throw blood on the wall and you're just going to have to assume they're dead.
We see this one security guard open the door and he's looking around like, oh no.
Like he stood there, like the alarm's going off, like, oh, emerging. He's like, oh yeah. Oh, screams. Oh, there must be something going on behind this door. And then the cat runs out. Now, when they go to corner the cat in the car park, I'm like, for fuck's sake. Like, the tension, I will tell you right now, the tension of making this cat the horrible killer in this movie is just ruined by how farcical the human elements are trying to capture it. They what was it? It's like 2 scientists and a guard, maybe 2 guards, I can't remember, walking into the car park, and one of the scientists like, give me your gun, haha, I've got a gun, I'm going to shoot the cat. I'm like, do we all get guns? Because you just mentioned that the shit that's happened on that stairway is not normal, so we should have fucking shotguns, maybe flamethrowers. The fucking car park's locked down. The cat's not going anywhere. And if I know cats, they'll hide by a wheel of the car and then just keep sneaking around. But I'm trying to work out if the thing inside the cat has control of the whole cat. Because it kills a security guard. Like, we see the shadowy silhouette of this mouth thing come out, and then we see a body on the floor, and it's like, okay, right, that guy's dead. And then we see the cat kind of sneak up onto a car so that it gets a better angle at the scientist with the gun, so that when he stupidly turns around, he gets attacked and killed. And then the cat kind of pushes its way out of an air vent and escapes out into the night.
Yeah. Now, I have no bloody idea what is happening. Because, like, as far as I'm concerned, the cat should be dead. With a creature the size of it that's coming out of its mouth and then climbing back into its mouth.
I know! It's
after it's done
cool,
the killings.
right?
I'm just like, the proportions are all wrong. Like, this thing that's coming out of the cat is bigger than the cat.
Yeah, it's small in its mouth.
How is the cat letting this thing get back into its mouth?
See, I don't see. Well, we do actually see later it climb into the cat's mouth and light come back into the cat's eyes. So I believe that the cat form is like a shell.
Right. Yeah.
And the thing inside has grown. And basically taken over the cat from the inside.
Does it shrink back down when it goes inside?
I want to say yes, dude. I hit you with questions all the fucking time. You could hit me with them all right now, and my answer is going to be yes.
Yeah, it works. It works.
So the cat then heads down to I'm guessing Miami or some part of America which is sunny and got a beach.
Now, I believe that there were alternate versions of this film. I'm not sure.
Right, okay.
But the version that we had sees the cat wandering by like a gas station.
Yeah, the mechanic.
The mechanic sees the cat and is like, oh, I'll feed the cat some milk.
The cat, look after it.
And then this random dude pulls up and this, comes up to him and he's like, oh man, you got some change? And then he beats the shit out of the mechanic. I don't know if he kills him or just leaves him.
Yeah.
Steals the key, steals something from the shop, gets in the truck and drives off. And the cat's just like, I'll have you.
Yeah, the cat jumps on the back of the truck. And then the thing comes out of its mouth and it kills the two guys in the truck. And I'm like...
Well, again, I don't know if it kills them because all we see is the truck go off the road.
Dude, those two crashes. Those two guys are fucking dead. Let's just assume... everybody we don't see die is dead.
Well, again, overuse of the sound effects of the truck crashing.
Yeah, and everything in this movie has to at least go into slow-mo once.
Right.
Because if it doesn't, it's not worth it.
Oh, we're not even on the fucking boat yet, Iain.
I know, I'm getting to the boat. So the two girls, Bobby and Suzanne. Bobby played by Claire Carey and Shari Shattuck playing Suzanne. They're two teen girls who have gone to spring break and they've realised they haven't got a hotel to stay in. So they find this really swanky hotel and they walk in there. And while they're trying to convince the guy at the desk to let them in, Walter, played by Alex Cord, comes down. Now, Walter is a smooth pimp. I'm not entirely sure if he's a gang boss, a bank robber, drug dealer. I think it's Wall Street. I think he's got a business that he's been extorting money from.
Right.
I think because he sat there and he's talking to the two girls and he's basically like, hey girls, you come with me, come onto my boat, and we'll go out to the Caribbean, and you then get Clu Gulager and George Kennedy come in, and they're work associates of Walter. And they basically say to him, like, look, we've got a meeting to go to, so we need to go. And and Walter's like, all right, but girls, you've got to come to the boat. We're going to have a party and all this kind of shit. So then we cut to the boat, and Walter is talking to this business executive. And the business executive is going through this whole dialogue piece about how the government's investigating their company and they're losing shit tons of money and they've got to get the money out now, blah, 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 blah. It's really... Somehow it's supposed to set Walter up as the bad guy. But I get the feeling the cat's the bad guy, so I don't give a shit about any of this fucking shit.
No.
And they kill the business executive that they're talking to because they believe that he's trying to blackmail them.
Right? Don't they offer him money at first and,
Yeah!
then drown him in the swimming pool on the boat?
I'm like... what really gets me, like, the director really cannot edit this movie, and he's doing his best, but you can just see the problems, and when you've watched enough films, you spot the problems like that. And it's like Clu Gulager jumps into the jacuzzi with the guy in slow motion and drowns him in slow motion, but George Kennedy, who's got a gun, can't jump into the pool because he's like, what, 70, 75? It's dangerous. And so he stands outside and literally does nothing. But they then angle the camera from inside the jacuzzi, so you can see George Kennedy's head and Clu Gulager's and the guy drowning. And then once he's dead, Walter's like, hey, what's wrong with Clu Gulager? He looks like he's having a heart attack. Oh, no, that's fine. You got to look after the body? Cool, because in half an hour we've got a party going on. We don't have a party. We cut to the fucking next day.
Oh, and Albert, the party is in about an hour and a half, so after you've cleaned up this mess here, get everything ready. Will you please?
That was one of the first proper moments in the movie where I was sat there going, what? You just set up dialogue for a new sequence, but you're not going to do that sequence?
Yeah, but this whole film feels like there's entire portions that have been removed from it.
Yeah.
Or they just never filmed it, or like...
We then cut to Corey and Lance, two teen boys sat in the sun enjoying their spring break. Lance is a jock, Corey's a bit of a smart money maker guy. And Corey basically says to Lance, look, the reason why we're here at the marina and not down at the beach is because all the scum go to the beach. We're here to meet the people with money. And we're here to meet people who can obviously help us get to where we want in the future. And Bobby and Suzanne come walk around the corner because obviously they've been staying in the hotel. And they start flirting with the boys. I have no idea why. Maybe it's because they're the only two other young people in this whole fucking area. And they Bobby and Suzanne say to Corey and Lance, look, hey, we met this guy called Walter. He's really rich. He's invited us onto his yacht. Maybe you should come with us. And Corey's like, oh, you mean Walter from Wall Street? Oh, I can't wait to meet him. He can make me rich and save some money. And then Martin comes along. Martin is the...
It's like a biologist, the scientist.
Yeah, the
nerdy friend.
The nerdy friend, because you've got the jock. And you've got the rich kid. You've got the two blonde bimbos. Then you've got this rich guy. So guess who survives? And they all make their way to the boat. Now there's this whole thing going on the fucking boat as well between Walter and the captain. Captain Rachel. Supposedly her dad used to be captain of the boat. And he died. I'm sure Walter killed him. And Walter took hold of the boat. Now, Rachel's the captain. She wants the boat back so she can start a business. But Walter says to her, like, you take me to where I want to go. You get me there. You can have the boat. But I need to be there by Monday morning because Walter's got this whole plan of going to... Like, he's got his money stored in an offshore account, I think it is.
There's a bank that he's got to get to in the Caribbean so that they can exchange money for bonds or something. Or he's basically going to get millions and millions and millions of dollars for whatever shady things he's doing. We don't know the specifics.
We don't know.
We just know that he's got a deadline. It's going to be there quick.
Yeah, and he convinces Big Mike and Albert, played by Clu Gulager, that the reason why he's bringing the teens on board, the two girls...
It's a cover story.
It's a cover story, just in case the police pull them over while all this shit's going on. But he doesn't take into account that the girls are going to bring the guys with them. But luckily, Rachel, the captain, says, look, we kind of need them here. We've got no crew, no way to man this ship. And I sat there and I'm like, that's fucking bullshit.
Right?
Other than being the slave to Walter, we literally just need the captain to fucking run it. But then she obviously does explain later on that when there's problems with the engine, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, and they're trying to fix it. So Suzanne or Bobby, I will admit, I got really confused over which girl was which. Because they really don't go into in-depth details.
What's the difference, really?
I don't know, but it helps trying to establish the characters when you're doing a film
review. The film's not even establishing the freaking characters.
I know, dude. I know.
Like, all of that exposition you've just given, it's like, it's just so... It's boring! Like, just...
Yeah, but this is why the director never went on to make Halloween 4 or Howling 6.
To be fair, like, I am fascinated by this director because I looked at his, filmography and I'm like, oh shit.
Man,
like, I mean, I'm saying that I've not seen any of it.
Satan's Cheerleaders looks really good.
Right? I was just looking at the aggregate scores for all of his films. I was like, nothing has even scored above average.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm sure this director's got a fascinating story to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Of all of these straight-to-video B movies that he made that no one can find or has ever heard of before. I'm sure there's a fascinating story there because I'd never heard of this guy before or his films.
But that's the beauty of finding these movies. It's like finding old Italian horror movies that you've never heard of and sitting through and going, this is absolute bollocks.
You feel like a discovery's been made.
You're like, oh my god, it's not exactly Lord of the fucking Rings, but it's not exactly ankle biters. And Suzanne, or Bobby, I'm not entirely sure, finds the cat. And Martin explains to her...
It's Suzanne who finds the cat.
Suzanne that finds the cat. And Martin explains to Suzanne, like, look, that thing around its neck is a tag from a genetics company. And they're like, oh, what were they going to do? Oh, they were going to cut it up and see what's going on inside. And she's like, oh no, that's disgusting. So they take the tag off and throw it in the bin. And then take the cat on board with them. Like, that's what you do. You find an animal with a genetics thing around its neck and go, hey, let's take it on holiday with us. And now what proceeds, as soon as they get onto the boat, is at least an hour's worth of boat shots. You're constantly like, you'll have a few scenes, and then we cut to the boat. And then you have a few more scenes, and then you cut to the boat. And it's just, like, literally either the boat's moving or the boat's not moving. It's just, we're on this boat, people.
I hate this. Like, it just falls into the formula now of we have 20 minutes of awfulness.
Yep.
Then 3 minutes of exciting horror creature feature violence. And then 20 minutes of mundane drudgery of characters half naked walking around the ship, looking for things to do or people to talk to. There is no interesting conversations in this entire film whatsoever. All of the characters are devoid of intelligence or life or a spark or charisma or energy or anything to make you want to continue watching this film. No. The only thing you'll continue to watch it for is in the vain hopes that this cat creature has some gory, memorable death sequence. Maybe you're watching it now just to see what happens at the end of this film. Like, who gets out if you care?
You're like me, you have to watch it to remember your childhood.
Or you hate all these characters so much, you just can't wait for the cat to kill them all off.
That was me. I wanted everybody to die.
Here we go. Let's have a couple of minutes of dancing. You know what? Let's cut to Gulager drinking on his own on the bridge of the ship, sailing it God knows where.
Like, who thought that was a good idea? Like, oh, you see this guy who's probably had no boating experience in his life. Let's put him in charge of the boat. I thought Rachel was the captain. Well, she's down playing fucking backgammon with Martin because, oh, well, you're not like your friends, are you, Martin? And Martin's like, no, they've got girlfriends. I don't. And Walter's like, well, this ain't fucking happening. This is my boat. I'm rich. And Martin's getting more fucking girls than I am. The two girls over there are fucking getting, And so Walter tries to force his way into, like, Bobby's pants, I think it is. And Lance, the jock, is just like, hey, man, and they while they're distracted dancing, Gulager is drinking on board the bridge of the ship, and the captain comes along and she's like, what are you doing? You've taken us off course. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he wanders off. Now, like, see, this is what I love about shitty movies like this. It's like Gulager fucking shines. I only recently watched him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he had this tiny little role in which he sells a book to Margot Robbie's character, and he's literally just sat there and he doesn't do anything exciting. He literally just delivers some normal dialogue to her. But it just, going back to something like The Uninvited, makes me just appreciate his acting talent more. That he could put on some fake teeth and glasses and still be Gulager. But he's Albert. So then, like 30 years later, when he's sat in a bookstore, he's still Gulager, but he's the dude in the bookstore. And so when he's wandering around the ship and he's drinking and he stops and he sees the cat, the fucking asshole spits in the cat's face.
You want some of this sweet little pussy?
I'm like, that cat deserves to fuck you up now, mate. You just
Yeah.
do that. And the thing erupts from the mouth of the cat, and Gulager smashes the bottle and goes to attack, and it leaps on him and scratches his face. And it cuts to inside because we see all the music and the dancing, and obviously they can't hear the screams or the shouting, even though it's a really tiny little area he would have been at. And you see the pulsating special effects of something in his blood forcing it out, and his face is all mangled, and then he stumbles over and falls overboard. And they realize this, but they can't do anything at night. They wait until next day. The captain's like, look, we need to go back. And Big Mike and Walter are like, no, we can't go back because secretly we have to get to this destination. But, Albert couldn't swim, so you'd just be wasting your fucking time. And they see the blood. Martin sees the blood, takes a bit of the sample, and between using a boating sextant, some water, and something else.
They use the cloth, Albert's torn clothing.
Yeah. They're able to establish that the blood on the fabric has been poisoned and is mutating. So whatever attacked him, did that. And the cat had done something as well in the engine room. Gulager had been messing with the boat controls and it had made a loud noise, and the cat who had been wandering the ship is down in the engine room, mutates strangely and does some damage, but the damage doesn't turn up until a little bit later.
Yeah, which stalls the boat and the engine cuts out. And so then they're kind of, they're stranded.
Yeah. Walter, who is just obviously a sexual deviant, comes across Bobby while she's doing her stretches. That was worth it.
Something, I suppose.
It was something. I mean, you expect hits in an 80s movie.
You're not going to get them in this one. Even though you get that scene in the kitchen where they're just like, oh, it's really hot in here.
Yeah.
Let's unbutton our blouses.
I'm getting so hot. Yeah. There's pussy all over this movie, but it's a long time.
God damn that cat. Like, even if the cat is not on screen, you can still fucking hear it.
And Walter confronts Bobby. Now, this is kind of weird because the cat was in the room at that time as well. And you kind of get the sense that the cat is intelligent enough that it wants to protect people. I'm not entirely sure. Because Lance comes into the room, confronts Walter. They start to get aggressive with each other. Big Mike comes in the room and shoots Lance in the fucking arm. And then confronts them all with a gun. But then while he's got the gun out, the cat attacks George Kennedy's foot and completely ravages his fucking ankle.
Is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
no, it's not absolutely hilarious. It's just...
I think so. Now, George Kennedy is injured and his blood is boiling. He's lying on the...
I will say, to give this film some credit,
Right,
the body horror moments were pretty effective. Like the close-ups of Albert's throat, pulsating, and then the close-up of his stomach now when something's mutating. Or the veins on his leg sort of pulsing. I thought that was pretty effective.
What was the budget for this movie? Do we know?
I think it was $200,000, and I think half the budget went on paying the three main actors of the film.
I was gonna say, that's where I would say that this movie has some merit. Is that the money they spent was kind of wasted on acting and script, and but when they came to do special effects, I've seen worse. Whenever I see this thing climb out the cat's mouth, it fucking freaks me out. I rarely look at a cat now when it yawns and things. Please don't.
I honestly thought the cat puppet. You know, you can see like the shots of the puppeteer's arm up the thing's ass in the truck. You know, like it just, I thought it was atrocious. The only effects I did think were good were the body horror stuff.
The body horror stuff,
like the miniature yacht.
That's the worst. That's the worst.
Yeah, everything else is just bad. Like, I wouldn't even get to the ending shot yet.
Like, so George Kennedy, he's lying down, he's mutating, his blood's boiling, his wounds are really bad, and he dies. And so they decide to throw him overboard. Like, I don't ever want to die on a yacht. People are like, well, he's dead, overboard. We're not even going to take him to the authorities. Now, I understand why they don't want to do that. Walter's got all these nefarious things going on, and he just wants to do it. But literally 2 people have died, and you've just thrown him overboard.
So they end up locking up Walter because they're like, he's, you know, can't be trusted, he's greedy, he's dangerous, he ends up shooting up the radio equipment on the bridge so that they can't radio for help.
Yeah.
So that they end up locking him up. But then the next problem arises when they find out that the cat has sabotaged the food supply. It has... You know, if they had only fed the cat wouldn't have had to break in behind this steel vault locker that they're keeping the food in, contaminating all of it. So scientist guys like, you can't eat any of it. The cat's, you know, been in contact with it. You'll die.
You want them to friendly feed this poisonous animal.
Well, I'm just saying, if they just fed it from the get-go, maybe, you know, it wouldn't have started eating the crew.
Well, yeah, that is true.
Maybe if they're not pissed, you know, spit alcohol at it.
Yeah, Like I absolutely love the sequence because they build up the fact that, you know, the cat is poisonous and everything it touches, so they've got to keep the food, and then they've got to ration it because they're stuck and the engine is broken. They're trying to fix it, and we get Lance lying on the bed with Bobby. And oh my god, like I said, this was the one bit in the movie that's always stuck with me since a kid. Like, if you remember the shower sequence from Psycho, you remember fucking Ripley coming out in that power loader. I remember this because he fucking turns to her and he's just like, look, my arm's fucking limp. I can't feel anything. I've got a bullet hole wound in my arm. I'm like, I'm sure that shit's gonna get infected. You should take the wound out and bullet out and see that. I'm not entirely sure. And him and Bobby start making out. And she says to him, she's like, oh, let me just have a look at this wound for you. And she pulls back the covers and the cat is eating his fucking hand.
Here, let me take a look at that boo-boo.
It's eating his fucking hand, man. Like, this shit stayed with me.
And what follows is a mad, desperate run through the yacht as he's like, I'm infected. I've been bitten by the cat. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to throw myself off the boat. And everyone else is like, no, wait, don't.
Yeah, because throwing yourself off the boat isn't really going to stop you dying from poison.
Well, no, he's just trying to kill himself now.
Yeah, but...
so he doesn't die the way the other dude did.
Yeah, but dude, it takes like a couple minutes to drown.
Well, yeah.
So he could die of the poison before he
maybe the water's cold enough, the shock will kill him.
I mean, Lance wasn't exactly the smartest fucking tool in the box because somehow he falls overboard and takes Bobby with him.
I got the poison in my blood! Lance! Wait!
And then the other 2 guys are like, shall we rescue them? Let's take our tops off. Let's think about it. Oh, let's jump in.
Let's jump in. We're going to look for them and we can't find them. So... they just literally sank.
They just sank, yeah.
They just... they're gone. They're gone. So it's like, hey, you know, lesson 101 on how to kill off half your fucking staff.
Well, we still need more sexy time. So
yes.
let's just follow Suzanne and the other chump and
Corey.
have a scene.
Like, that was so stupid. They're like, literally, the sequence before, she was upset. And she's worried that she's, you know, they're not going to get off. The next fucking sequence, she's in the bedroom, she's getting unchanged, and Corey's like, meow, meow, haha, it's just us pussycats. I'm like, dude, seriously, you do not make fucking cat jokes at this moment. And then they start to get undressed, and Corey's already made the deal with Walter, that if he helps Walter...
I mean, we had his setup from the get-go, he was after money.
Yeah, and Walter says, like, look, if we can get to this bank, I can give you shit tons of money because, in fairness, I don't have my 2 buddies to share the money with anymore. And Corey's like, yeah, okay, I'm super smart. I think I'm smart enough with you. And he explains this to Suzanne, like, look, you stick with me and we'll be safe. And Corey formulates the idea that Martin and the captain need to fix the engine, while Walter and Corey need to go and search for the cat.
So they agree to let him out and they hand the keys over.
Yeah. Well, Suzanne, like, is completely traumatized
She
at this
just
moment.
all of a sudden becomes catatonic.
Yeah.
Like, we're all going to die.
We're all
I'm
gonna
hungry.
die.
We're all going to die.
Yeah. And while Corey and Walter are searching, like, it was really weird. Like, he puts down food in the ship.
Yeah.
Poisons it. And then the very next shot is Walter asleep on the front of the boat. And the captain comes up and is like, what are you doing asleep? You're supposed to be helping Corey. And he's just like, oh, Corey's out checking his traps. I'm like, time? Jesus! Like, he just literally watched him put the traps down.
He has that line, which was just like, oh man, where she's just like, well, at least I haven't given up like you two.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's because you're a dumb bitch. It's just like,
You two may be ready to give up, but I'm not.
Well, at least you're being consistent. You're being a dumb bitch.
He was belittling this fucking captain all the way through. And I wonder if it got to a point where, because George Kennedy had gone, Clu Gallagher's already gone,
Yeah.
and Alex Cord playing Walter is the last well-known actor on board this shitty fucking installment. Maybe that line was just like, "'Cause you're a dumb bitch," was just ad-lib. Like, he's like, I don't give a fuck anymore. It did feel like that as the movie continued. It felt like some of the actors and actresses just, like, they gave up, and not that their characters had given up. Like, the actor had just given up. Like, oh, fuck this shit. I know you need me in this shot, but I ain't doing fuck all. Corey heads down into the engine room, and he's confronted by the cat. And Corey, in his fucking great intelligent moment, takes the gun that he's been carrying and just starts shooting up the fucking engine room.
he shoots a hole in the ship, so water starts coming in.
I didn't even know bullets could fucking do that shit. I thought fucking hulls of ships were fucking tougher than bullets. Like, you have to fire fucking torpedoes into some fucking ships. You telling me I get a sniper rifle? I can just sink one?
Well, you can sink this one.
He shoots a fucking pipe, doesn't he?
Right, yeah, the
And then
steam pipe. And so they get steam to the face. We see him fall to the floor with half of his face missing or burnt. I was like, again, another very good gore. The body horror stuff is really good.
Really good special effect, yeah. And the cat just watches him die.
Right.
And it's not like even anybody really comes and rescues.
Well, nobody cared about him,
Nobody
really.
cares, because the next moment we're cut to a shot where Walter and Suzanne are upset, and Suzanne's just like, look, we're starving, we need food, and Martin's just like, it's been poisoned, you can't eat any of it, I've locked it away. And Suzanne's ended up getting the keys off of the captain, and she goes down to the food hold and opens it up and starts eating like little bits. And now she's completely lost her mind at this point, because she thinks Martin and Rachel are trying to keep the food from everybody else and lying about it being poisoned.
She also believes it's entirely her fault. She found the cat, she brought the cat on board, and then she's like, no, it's your fault. You're the one who said bringing a cat on board was good luck, so it's not my fault. It's
Whoever
your fault.
fucking said a cat on board a ship was good luck? It's like, I have never ever seen a fucking cat on a ship, other than the Nostromo.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good luck either. They all fucking died on that too. So she eats a little bit of the food, and the cat turns up. What?
Spot on the Enterprise.
Oh, Enterprise. Which Enterprise? They all exploded at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Picard was taken by the fucking Borg. That wasn't exactly good luck. Next. And the cat sees her, and Suzanne's just like, oh my god, I only ate a little bit, please don't hurt me. And then the poison starts to take effect. Her neck swells up, blood starts to come out through her veins. I think at one point she pops the hole, and she's picking at it, which then obviously causes blood loss, and she just
Again, body
dies.
horror stuff, top quality stuff right there.
Yeah, and she just dies. And then it's nighttime, it's a storm. The storm that we've been told about like 40-50 minutes ago has finally fucking turned up. And Martin, the captain, and Walter are all deciding now to get the fuck off the ship. There's just no point anymore.
But what are we going to do? You've got to fix that.
It depends on the storm.
Well, you've got to do something. It's not going to stop in 2 minutes.
And Walter's like, no, I can't leave all my money, so I'm going back. And he stumbles back to his bedroom, and he opens the safe, and the cat hides behind the briefcase. And he decides that he's going to take the briefcase, and while he does, the thing that's inside the cat erupts out and attacks him and kills him in the water. Martin and Rachel are now the last two alive. Martin goes down to look for Walter, realizes he's dead, comes back up. The girl's already dropped the boat off the side, and so he leaps off and jumps into the lifeboat. And it's so bad.
Well,
this whole ending is so bad.
Some of the scenes in this film were filmed in the director's garage, and the entire ending of this film was shot in his swimming pool. You can tell when you look at the ocean. It doesn't move like the ocean.
No, it doesn't.
Especially when you see the miniature yacht sinking. You're just like, was that in the bathtub?
I mean, the miniature yacht got me. But in fairness, dark, nighttime, lots of rain. I truly didn't believe it was a swimming pool.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't a great set that they were on, but I the director did a good enough job to say, look, I can't have people thinking this is my swimming pool.
Yeah. Well, other than the fact that the ocean is incredibly still during this storm, they end up on the lifeboat, and then we don't get to see the ocean and how stormy it is. We just get to see the boat rocking.
Yeah. And the thing from the cat leaps out and attacks them, but they manage to knock it back without being scratched or bitten. And then it comes back for a second time.
Oh, Rachel, it's not over yet!
And they just knock it back into the water.
Well, they've got the suitcase and they've got all the money, and they're like, oh, we can buy a new yacht. Oh, we can open up a new biology center. Oh, let's chuck the suitcase into the water so the cat can go for that instead. She's like, no, wait, put the money in the bag, then chuck the suitcase, and then the cat sits on it to survive the storm. Yeah. That's all the cat wanted, was just a life raft.
Just a life. Well, I'd want to survive. It's been wanting to survive since the beginning of the movie.
Well, and it does, and it makes it all the way to the, pre-credit sequence where we see this boy on this beach and he wanders over and picks up this cat look!
Yeah. One of the best moments I thought of this whole movie, and I didn't even realise this, was at the end for me where Martin and Rachel, they're talking to a police officer in the Caribbean. And it's Austin Stoker from Assault in Precinct 13.
Amazing cameo here, right?
Oh my God. And I just love the fact he's just we don't really believe your story about a mutant cat or the ship sinking. So, you can go on your way. I'm like, that dude has been through some shit in LA.
Right.
And this
he
is
just
his
needs some
retirement.
quiet time now.
He doesn't want to get involved. He don't care. And the little boy gets the cat and the movie ends. And you're like,
well, Ian, it sounds like you've got many, many favourite scenes from this film, so I'll...
I have a few. I mean, a lot of the deaths are fucking stupid. And it doesn't really surprise me. When you're talking about 80s horrors, especially 80s horrors that nobody really talks about and nobody really, has heard. It's very rare that you'll find really, really, really good gore. Because a lot of the time when the budget is so low, they'll just cut away.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the death sequences are not worth the time until you get onto the boat. Clue Gulager, when he dies, it's not great, but when he's driving the ship, the build up to it, him singing and dancing and having a great time, you're like, hey, it's really cool. But then when he spits in the cat's face, you're like, Dick, you need to die. And he dies. The guy getting his fingers chewed off. It's one of those sequences that if you ever saw it when you were a child, it would stick with you. And it did with me because it's just the way the sequence plays out. I'm like, my arm's limp, I can't feel anything, and the cat just sneaks up and is chewing his fucking fingers off. Now, a lot of the time I'm like, well, cats wouldn't do that. But like we said, if the cat's starving, it'll fucking eat anything. I know it sounds bad, but I do like the special effect of the thing climbing out the cat's mouth. It's freaky. And I have no idea how the fucking thing works and climbs back inside. I honestly believe that it takes the form of the cat from the inside and then climbs out. So all the lungs, the bone, the blood and all that, that's inside the creature, which is inside the cat. How it got there, I have no fucking clue. Bobby, stretching. Leotards. I mean, what's more to say about leotards than that? The film is silly. And I don't really think the ending is any good. It's not a favourite. Far from it. But from what we know, you know, like we said, it was filmed in the guy's swimming pool. They used the ship model for the sinking, and you know, the final fight sequence with the cat is really bad. But it's a good ending, and from my view, like, if you're an independent director, you could probably learn some lessons from this guy, from what he did. But that's my take.
Yeah, no, not one.
No,
favourite scenes whatsoever.
I didn't think Gary.
You know, I just got really fucking annoyed with the cats meowing. Like, I love cats. I hate this cat, and I hate this stock sound.
That's the point of this movie. You won't look at a fucking cat again, that's for sure.
Well, Ian, do you recommend bloody Uninvited?
No fucking way. And I know it's really shocking that people are like, but Ian, you really like this movie. I don't. I have nostalgic feelings towards this movie because I watched it so young when I was a kid. I have the same thing towards Jaws and The Terminator and things like that. Movies that I remember watching when I was a kid and going, oh my God, what's that like? And then rewatching them again. Now, sometimes they get better and sometimes they get generally worse. And with this movie, I remembered 3 things. I remembered there was a boat. I remembered there was a cat, and I remembered there was a guy who got his fingers cut off. That's it. Everything else is just filler. It's boring. It's pointless. Even some great acting from Gulager, George Kennedy, and the guy playing Walter. It's like their script is different to everybody else's script. You know, it's like the script that the kids have got are one film, and the script that George Kennedy's got is a completely different other film. And when they realise this halfway through the film, George Kennedy's like, I'm out! You know, if you like 80s horror and you've never seen it, check it out. But it's not great. It's quite boring. It's filled with shit. The creature's not anything to be really scared about. So, no, I don't.
Yeah. It's B-movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. And it's the only horror film I can think of about a radioactive cat that goes on a killing spree on a yacht filled with mostly awful people. If you need a killer cat movie, you have to see it for that. Otherwise, this is plain awful. It's so cheap. It lacks any atmosphere or sense of fear of the creature cat thing. The acting is dreadful on nearly all accounts, largely in part to the insipid characters who do nothing to help you enjoy this creature feature. There are some attractive bodies on display to distract you from the nothing else that's going on between the 20 minutes of each cat killing. It's a bloody movie, not a very gory movie. And the body horror scenes are pretty good, but they don't add up to anything else. The hand puppet monster is horrible and cheap, it's ugly and laughable, and nothing to really recommend. The film's score is annoying, the sound effects irritating, and the pace boring. This does not get my recommendation at all. It's a complete waste of time, all in all. You know, cats may have 9 lives, but you've only got 1. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.